In the glittering world of 19th century Europe, one woman captured the hearts and imaginations of millions. Her face was immortalized in portraits, her name whispered in awe. Elisabeth of Bavaria, known forever as Sissy. But behind the crown lay a restless spirit, a woman longing for freedom, haunted by sorrow and consumed by legend. This is not merely the story of an empress. It is the story of a human being who fought for her own identity inside a golden cage. This is the story of Sissy. Elisabeth Amalie. Eugenie was born on December 24, 1837, in Munich, the fourth child of Duke Maximilian Joseph in Bavaria and Princess Ludovica of Bavaria. Unlike many royal children, Sissy was not raised in stiff courtly etiquette. Her family preferred the countryside of Possenhofen Castle on the shores of Lake Starnberg. Here, Elisabeth learned to love nature, horses, and freedom. Her father, eccentric and fun-loving, encouraged his children to ride, hike, and explore. Her mother worried more about marriages and alliances, but Elisabeth's heart belonged to the woods, the lakes, and the mountains. She was shy, poetic, and sensitive, qualities that would clash with the rigid expectations of an imperial court. Her elder sister Helene was considered the ideal bride for a royal match. No one expected the dreamy Elisabeth to become an empress. In the summer of 1853, a fateful meeting changed everything. Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria was supposed to meet Helene, Elisabeth's older sister, as a potential bride. But when the 23-year-old emperor saw the 15-year-old Elisabeth, he was immediately captivated. Her natural beauty, her innocence, and her free-spirited charm enchanted him. Against his mother's wishes, Franz Joseph chose Elisabeth instead of Helene. The engagement shocked both families. Elisabeth, unprepared for such a destiny, suddenly found herself at the center of Europe's most powerful empire. On April 24, 1854, at just 16 years old, Elisabeth married Emperor Franz Joseph in Vienna. The wedding was a spectacle of grandeur, but for Sissy, it marked the end of her freedom. She entered the Habsburg Palace as Empress of Austria, a title she never truly embraced. The Habsburg was not a home, but a labyrinth of etiquette and control. The young empress was under the watchful eye of Archduchess Sophie, Franz Joseph's domineering mother, who controlled the court and even Sissy's own children. Elisabeth felt isolated and powerless. Her role was ceremonial, her opinions ignored. She suffered from homesickness and anxiety, longing for the carefree days of Bavaria. Despite her unhappiness, she performed her duties, attending balls, ceremonies, and religious events. Her beauty and elegance made her a sensation across Europe, but behind the public image, she grew increasingly fragile. Elisabeth's beauty became both her armor and her prison. She maintained an intense routine, hours of exercise, strict diets, and elaborate hair care. Her floor-length brown hair took 3 hours to style. She often fasted, weighed herself daily, and wore tightly laced corsets to maintain her 50-centimeter waist. She also turned to poetry as an escape, writing verses about death, freedom, and the sea. She traveled constantly, searching for relief from court life, visiting health spas, and spending months away from Vienna. Her marriage to Franz Joseph grew distant. The emperor adored her, but his infidelities and Sissy's absences created a gulf between them. She became a wanderer, an empress without a home. While Elizabeth shunned most political affairs, she developed a deep bond with Hungary. She admired its culture, learned its language, and forged friendships with Hungarian nobles. During the crisis of the Austro-Hungarian Compromise, she played a crucial role in reconciling her husband with the Hungarian people. In 1867, Franz Joseph and Elizabeth were crowned King and Queen of Hungary in a grand ceremony in Budapest. This was one of her happiest moments. The Hungarians adored Sissy, calling her their queen. In Hungary, she found the freedom and affection denied to her in Vienna. While traveling in Hungary, she faced her first devastating loss. Her eldest daughter, Sophie, passed away at a young age. The death of her child left Elizabeth heartbroken, a grief she carried deeply in her soul. Her only son, Crown Prince Rudolph, grew up neglected and unhappy. In 1889, he died in the infamous Meierling incident, a murder-suicide pact with his mistress, Baroness Mary Wetzera. These losses devastated Elizabeth. She dressed in black for the rest of her life, rarely appearing in public. Her depression deepened, and she withdrew further from court, traveling ceaselessly from country to country, from Corfu to Ireland, from Switzerland to the Mediterranean. She avoided photographers and began veiling her face, no longer wanting to be seen as the beauty she once was. Her poetry became darker, obsessed with death and escape. On September 10, 1898, in Geneva, Switzerland, Sissy's restless journey came to a sudden end. While walking along the lake, she was approached by an Italian anarchist, Luigi Lucchini, who stabbed her with a sharpened file. At first, she did not realize she had been mortally wounded. She boarded a steamer, then collapsed. An hour later, the Empress of Austria was dead at the age of 60. Europe was shocked. The woman who had spent her life running from the constraints of power had been struck down by a random act of violence. But death transformed Elizabeth into legend. Her portraits, the long-haired beauty in diamond stars, became symbols of a lost era. Films, books, and operettas romanticized her life, turning her into the fairy tale Sissy known today. Yet the real Elizabeth was far more complex. A free-spirited soul, a restless traveler, a poet, and a tragic figure who struggled against the golden cage of empire. She was a daughter of Bavaria, a bride of Austria, a queen of Hungary, and a wanderer of the world. She sought freedom and found sorrow. She sought love and found distance. And yet, more than a century after her death, her story still fascinates us. For behind the diamonds and the silk, we recognize a human soul, longing, restless, and free. This was Elisabeth of Bavaria. This was Sissy, the Tragic Empress. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of the extraordinary lives that shaped our world. Hit the bell to never miss an episode.